So Trump played a big disappearing act this past week, and the internet had some thoughts about it.
Yeah, it's really interesting when the president of the country, like one of the most powerful countries in the world, if not the most powerful country, just disappears and doesn't make any statements for like 7 full days, not seen in the public eye, no pictures, no nothing, especially for a guy that loves to talk.
Yeah. And what that did is it spawned a bunch of memes and conspiracy theories about like his level of aliveness.
Yes.
And it was great. And listen, here's what I always say. I never wish death on people because one cannot be redeemed after death.
You can't do that to Trump because then the Secret Service shows up at your house.
Well, not even just that. It's just fundamentally, I don't believe in it.
Morally and practically.
Yeah. But I will say that some of these memes were incredible. Obviously, if y'all seen them, they centered around like his disease, sort of like necrotic looking hand.
Yeah.
They were saying he looks bloated. They were saying he's got congestive heart failure. Like, I even saw one super crazy theory that was like Putin sat in that car with him by himself and had like poison laced on his body.
Well, my favorite one was J.D. Vance met with him. So J.D. Vance rotting everything that he touches everywhere he goes.
Right, he killed the Pope.
He killed the Pope. He caused the conflict in India.
Yeah,
and then now he comes back. He meets with the president. He makes him sick.
Right,
yeah, it makes him
sick.
sick.
But like Trump is very much alive. And
Ish.
he's alive-ish. He's still being propped up. Lots of Weekend at Bernie's memes.
Yes.
That was fantastic.
You know, it was funny to see the Weekend at Bernie memes because unfortunately a lot of my Gen Z brethren were just like, what is this?
Yeah,
and
I can't lie.
I'm looking back, I'm like, Weekend at Bernie's, what do you mean?
Listen, Weekend at Bernie's is a classic, just like Big Lebowski.
Oh, come on now.
Oh my God, Gage, come on.
Whoa, now.
I mean, some of these memes, though, you got to get with it. Like, if it's still going to be in the cultural zeitgeist, then you got to understand what these, like, where they came from.
I got to get with it. I'm behind.
You're a little behind. That's okay. But he is back. He had a super unhinged press conference the other day. He told reporters at the press conference that he didn't know about the conspiracy theories that were circulating the internet about him being dead.
I refuse to believe that.
I also refuse to
a
believe
man
that.
who is
Everything.
permanently online and sees everything written about him by everyone.
Literally when he's truth socialing from the toilet.
Yeah.
Like, conservatives were silent about it.
Yeah.
Like Benny Johnson, these people were not getting on and doing the thing. Look at Democrats, doing evil Democrats wishing whatever upon the president. They're doing this. Can you believe they're doing this conspiracy? Everybody was kind of worried.
Yeah.
And like my thing about it is like, I'm not gonna, he should have retired. I wanted him to retire and get out of politics.
Go play golf.
Again, like I don't wish death upon anybody. I wanted to make that like abundantly clear. But these kind of discussions are what happens when we have people who are 79?
Yeah.
In office,
Yeah.
you can collect Medicare.
Yeah.
Go retire. Spend your life with your family. Stop being
rich.
evil. You're rich. You don't need to do this. You're just doing this to be evil, and you're fucking up my money with these tariffs.
Flat out.
What can I say?
No, it's totally true, man. And you know, I think to your point, the rest of the party, the GOP, not saying anything about it on the podcast, the Sunday shows, anything like that, was part of kind of the narrative that made everybody spin out of control. Because listen, regardless of what party it is or how much you like them or don't like them, the president dying would be a massive destabilizing event for the entire country.
Like, more destabilizing than where we are now, just on a daily basis.
Yes, because no, it would. Because here's the thing: when you have that much fuckery happening, and then somebody's got to maintain it, right? So at bare minimum, Trump's presence maintains the fuckery, right? He's able to sit in a room and tell people to do more stupid stuff. Once he's gone, J.D. Vance don't got the juice. He does not have the juice. The party is not going to rock with him.
This is true.
You
J.D.
think
Vance
that
does
was
not
going to
have the
be my
juice.
question for you guys? Does J.D. Vance scare you more than Trump?
No, the people who pay J.D. Vance scare me more.
Yeah, what J.D. Vance represents scares me more, but it's also like the vice president is supposed to be a fake job. The vice president isn't supposed to be a person that runs with the president because people actually think that they would make a good president.
No.
They're supposed to be there to fill a demographic that the guy running for president, whoever's running for president, doesn't fill, and they're just kind of there to be a body. Everyone jokes about them being one heartbeat away, but it's never supposed to be like a serious thing. The president's not supposed to be in a position where they're likely going to die in office.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's why we shouldn't have old people.
What is J.D. Vance filling the Democrat? Like, what demographic is he filling?
It's like these guys guys that were never Trumpers that are now thinking like, maybe he has some good ideas, because that's who JD Vance
it's the techno
is.
fascists. It's the techno fascists. His sort of idea, what he represents within that administration is the young apolitical guy who has now been severely red pilled and is now a part of this sort of hyper conservative fascist ecosystem.
I mean, I think we need to be going after JD Vance harder. The memes need to get harder. We need to be crueler. I want to cyberbully the shit out of JD Vance. Like,
I mean, the thing to me with JD Vance that I can't respect is the fact that on this very show, we've talked to people who knew him before he was in the national spotlight.
Yes.
And he was not this guy, right?
Yeah.
At least on
the surface, he wasn't this guy.
He was always a conservative, but not to this level.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, can't rock with you. You two-faced. And, if you do have to sit in the chair, I'm not going to say I worry for the guy, but he don't have the juice. He's not going to have Congress with him. He's not going to have the Supreme Court with him. He'll have Peter Thiel, and he'll have Elon Musk, which is a different kind of scary.
Yeah.
But will he have the cultural zeitgeist? Absolutely not.
He's such a nerd.
He won't have it.
He's just chronically lame.
You know what it is? You know what it is? People don't want to feel like they could beat up the president.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And like Trump is a bigger guy.
He's a strong man.
But he's a bigger guy, right? You got Obama. If you looked at Biden when he was younger, he was a strong, handsome looking guy. Like, of course he was super old, so you don't want to go at a super old guy. You don't want to look at JD Vance and just be like, bruh, if I shot a fair one with JD Vance.
JD Vance is just so smarmy. Like he treats every interaction like he knows or thinks that he's smarter than you, and he's trying to show off that he's smarter than you, and that does not register with the voter. That's why people don't like Democrats.
I don't want my president using the same eyeliner as Johnny Depp.
Real.
I don't want it.
In Pirates of the Caribbean. All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Point of Disorder podcast. I'm Adrian.
I'm Norris.
I'm Gage.
Yay! So we've had a little change up today. We've got Gage joining us to cover for Gina this week, and Norris is here covering for Julie. And you all may have heard Gage in the past on Head in the Office podcast.
It's a good podcast.
It's a fantastic podcast. Go check it out wherever you get your podcasts listening.
Yes,
right?
Very true. Big on that.
That's right.
It's a testosterone takeover.
It's a testosterone takeover. I'm holding my own. It'll be fine. I'm okay
great.
with it. I love you, gentlemen. We're so glad that you're here covering for our friends. And as usual, if you're out there in the land, if you're a fan, please leave us a like, follow us, comment, share, tell anybody about us.
Subscribe on YouTube.
Subscribe on the YouTube. Follow us on all platforms, social media platforms. We're there, and we're happy to be there for you.
Get
you through these dark times. So, speaking of Unhinged press conference, I kind of want to go back to this whole notion, like the other random shit that he was just going off about. He was talking about Space Command, all right, which is this fucking weird ass NASA adjacent military space command, Air Force, whatever it is.
Space Force.
Space Force.
Supposed to replace NASA with a slightly more militarized version of it.
Yeah,
right.
Because we want to put guns on satellites now.
We want to put a nuclear reactor on the moon. We're going to do that.
He wants to make GoldenEye.
Yes. Okay. So like there's all this shit going on with this
Moonraker.
this press conference. Okay. So it is in Colorado Springs currently.
Yes.
He's moving it to Alabama.
Huntsville, Alabama.
And Huntsville, Alabama is now going to change their name.
Yeah, Rocket Town.
I mean, we're changing the Gulf
Rocket
of Mexico
City, one of those,
to Gulf of America. We might
Yeah.
as well start naming other cities shit.
I want to know if there's anybody out there in Alabama that listens to this show. How do you feel about Huntsville being named Rocket City or whatever it was supposed to be called? Because, like,
Rocket
that's
Man.
one of the places people know from Alabama, too.
It's cultural erasure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, it's Huntsville. Like, everybody knows what Huntsville is.
Yeah.
Listen, that makes me think of Rocket Man by
Rocket Man.
I mean, yeah,
Elton John,
yeah,
who is an LGBTQ icon. So
Shouts out.
maybe that's okay. But
Trump
anyway,
does love the Village people.
this is true.
He loves the Village people.
He does. Like that YMCA shit's coming on every time.
Yeah.
And that's not ironic at all. So he's punishing Colorado for this. He's basically said like he's moving it to Alabama because Colorado has a very robust mail-in voting program, mail-in ballots. I lived in Colorado for a number of years. I moved there when I was 24. And as soon as you move there and you get your license changed, like you're automatically registered to vote. You automatically get a mail-in ballot.
I wish.
Right?
Automatic. Everything's automatic. And the best part, you get a blue book with your ballot.
What is that?
It is a book that everyone gets that basically tells you who's on your ballot, what they're about, their websites, all their information, the constitutional amendments, like anything on the proposals, all that shit is in the blue book.
That's beautiful.
It's amazing. And they've been doing this for years. I'm not going to give my age away and say how long ago I moved to Colorado, but it was almost better part 2 decades ago. So but it was amazing. And they have a very robust voter program there.
Well, and it's like stuff like that will actually make you want to go vote because
Yeah.
you're empowered, you're informed. And again, it makes sense why he would want to punish that because the educated voter and the educated populace is the antithesis of what he needs to win.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's
And,
like,
yeah.
it's really funny that the like justification here is Colorado does mail-in balloting and we want to punish mail-in balloting when Trump himself has won states that do mail-in balloting.
Specifically because of mail-in
Right.
balloting.
Literally
Like,
told people to go do it.
no, and here's again like the sort of cognitive dissonance of his own supporters, which is during specifically the 2020 election, it was mail-in ballot. Make sure you mail in all your votes, get the mail-in ballots in. We need them. I need the votes. You need to vote for me. All this stuff. Mail the ballots in. He loses the election. I hate mail-in ballots. And I'm like,
stole the election.
Brody, like you had numerous states that you still won specifically because of mail-in ballots because seniors, even though
That's
they're
easier for
retired,
them.
it's easier for them to vote that way. So now, even if you get to a point where, let's say, people listen to this stupid executive order that he wants to put down and get rid of mail-in ballot nationwide, which is illegal. He can't do that. But let's say the states listen and we get rid of all mail-in ballot. Okay. Then you just make voter turnout better
Right.
and people
I was
go
gonna
to
say.
the polls
Right.
and you still lose.
Well, you just disenfranchise your own base as well, considering that so much of GOP support comes from old people.
Yes.
Trump himself voted by mail.
Yes.
Yes.
what are we doing here?
Yes.
It's crazy.
He's registered
Exactly.
to vote in Mar-a-Lago.
Right.
He can't vote in DC.
But I think that's what's funny here is like it's a punishment for you, Colorado, that we're moving Space Command to Alabama because of your vote. Like that's
Yeah.
fucking
And
ridiculous.
it's also like we just went through 2 months of Doge running through the federal government, cutting childhood cancer research, cutting the VA, cutting
Collecting
all
our
of these
data.
good things
Yeah.
while they collect our data to do nefarious things with Palantir or whatever they're going to do with it.
Right.
And you mean to tell me that we can move the entire like Space Command operation from state to state and that's just fine?
Yeah.
That's going to cost so
So
much
much
fucking money. But we
So
cut
much
childhood
money.
cancer research because Elon Musk told me to?
Right. This is the world we're living in now, Gage. Welcome. I'm so glad
welcome.
you're here. It's upside down land. I mean, like, speaking of upside down land, the other thing that fucking happened, while Trump was kind of MIA is shit was falling out of windows at the White House. These black bags.
Yeah, so this was a crazy story where people were looking for signs of life
Yeah.
from Donald
Yeah.
Trump, and there was this video of these black bags and items being thrown out of the 4th floor window of the White House. One of the journalists in the press pool during this conference that happened earlier this week literally like just walks up to the podium and goes, dude, look at this stuff they're throwing out of your house. And at that point, Donald Trump says, that's fake. Those windows can't open. They're locked.
It's Chat GPT. It's AI generated.
and he literally
I love that.
verbatim says, it's AI generated. As a matter of fact, anything that's bad, I'm just gonna say it's AI generated.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, he's just saying
And
everything's
I wonder
AI.
how much of that's going to be around for the next election cycle. I wonder how much of 2026, how many videos leak or embarrassing things come out about candidates,
AI.
and they're just going to deflect with that's AI.
How simple would it be for to just say, hey, the house is 300 years old. Let's just, there were some contractors on the 4th floor doing some work for us. They were doing some mold.
That was the official
They
statement.
were doing some mold remediation.
Oh,
and
classic.
they had to throw stuff out the window because we didn't want a gross tube hanging off the side of the White House.
Right.
That would have been a very simple, logical explanation. But because this is not a simple, logical man, he's just like, nope, it's AI.
Yeah,
He
it's
could've
AI.
just said, I don't know what's going on. It's a big house. I was gone.
He can't say
He
that.
can't do that because then
It's the
that
White House.
admits
He
that
lives
he
there.
doesn't actually know.
Yeah.
But you know how much shit goes on at the White House all the fucking time that the president has no idea
He
about?
doesn't care. He's going to pretend he knows.
gonna
That's
pretend.
true.
That I mean,
just the
that's
megalomaniac in
that's
him.
a dictator. That's fascism, like 101 right there. It's like I know everything that's going on around
is
me
true.
at all times, and I have all these people that come and report to me.
And every single person in here follows my orders.
Exactly.
To the T.
So there will
Real.
never be an admission of any kind of guilt nor knowledge.
Bro's omnipotent.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Omnipotent.
basically.
I
God
know all
King.
the things.
Nice.
God
That's
King
cool.
Trump.
Even if I just contradicted everything that my staff just told you, I'm right, they're wrong. This is the way it goes.
Yeah.
So, and speaking of fascism, because we talk about it every single week now, like this fucking unhinged thing just keeps going on. We know that a lot of pizzas were ordered at the Department of Defense, at the Pentagon over the weekend.
Well, the pizza index.
The pizza index
index.
went up and they were like, people were talking about it. Well, we come to find out that Trump is going off about Venezuela.
Yeah.
And he's decided that there's going to be war with Venezuela at some point, unless they get their shit under control with the drug trafficking and the human trafficking. So I was watching the news. I was eating my dinner and I'm like, oh, great. What the fuck did he bomb now? Right? Because David Muir, my boyfriend, is very obtuse about what he's bombing until he gets to it. And he's like, oh, in the Caribbean. And I'm like, what? Like, I literally put my fork down. I was like, what happened? Literally, like they fucking bombed like a little like sport boat, some kind of boat with like 10 people in it or something in the middle of the Caribbean because they're like, oh, these are drug traffickers. So we blew them up with a drone.
Which, by the way, extrajudicial killings are
I don't think you can do that.
completely against all forms of, Geneva
It's
Convention.
like they took a page out of their favorite allies playbook.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, and here's the thing about it. And so we can't even investigate this.
No.
Like the boat was obliterated. There's we can't talk to those people. We can't say if they were actual drug traffickers.
They're
or
probably
if
out there
they were-
fishing.
If it was a fishing trawler,
Minding their own fucking
If
business.
it was, we don't know.
Yeah, and
is the
there's
point.
no way that we can know.
And there's no way we can know. So now we know, on top of all the stuff they're doing domestically, on top of, clandestine operations bombing countries in the Middle East, outside of flying actual war crime dictators to Alaska to meet with them, outside of all this stuff, we're also now just killing random Venezuelans that just so
because.
happen to be in the Caribbean at any given moment.
Right.
And then saying that there's fent. They
then
got
saying it's
fent
fent.
on board. They got fent on board, and they're drug trappickers, and
know
they're
what's-
terrorists. That's
and
the
they're
line.
terrorists. And
Yeah.
you know what's wild too? Because like speaking of fent, and for young the older listeners, we're talking about fentanyl.
Fentanyl.
I'm just now seeing like commercials for fentanyl on TV. Like
really?
Oh yeah, and
I'm-
it says brought to you by Donald Trump.
Yeah,
Like
I'm seeing
what?
fentanyl
Yeah.
commercials on TV. Like
Yeah.
they're like
I don't
the
have
old
cable, so you guys got to fill me in.
No, they're like the
What's
old
going
like
on?
don't do drugs, like say no to drug
It's like a
commercials.
like the one
Hulu.
with the egg that's like this drug will fry your brain or type shit.
So there's a gentleman, the one I've seen, there is a white middle-aged gentleman who talks about how he's talking about his experience addicted to fentanyl and how he lost his hair and his teeth and his family and all these things. But now there's an opportunity for treatment and there's some kind of drug that's available to help with withdrawal.
Narcan?
There's
Oh,
one I
withdrawal.
saw where it's like this girl and she's just like, I'm having such a great time. This is the best birthday I ever had.
Brother, these are not real.
And
There's
then
no
No,
it's
it's
like,
for
and then
real.
it's like,
What?
and then it's
For
like,
real.
and I took that pill, and it was the last birthday I ever had.
Oh,
And like she
because-
turns into
Yeah.
a ghost.
Yeah.
She
No
literally
fucking
turns
way.
into a
That's-
ghost.
no way.
The beauty of it is this propaganda, this PSA that's being funded by the federal government right now. At the very end, says like, "Thank you to Donald J. Trump."
This is what they took the
Yeah,
PBS
that one.
money
The
for.
one with the ghost kids is just a blanket.
Yeah.
they
that
don't
was
they
an
don't put a
ad that was like
statement
on
it.
TV.
Yes.
Doing the whole fentanyl and Halloween. We're gonna get fentanyl Halloween candy commercials.
I am gonna-
They're
yeah.
bringing back the old
Oh, it's
hits.
on the way.
It's
They're
on the
bringing
way.
the old
It's
hits
the
back,
old
dude.
hits,
That's
baby.
crazy.
It's,
Yeah.
it's Dare all over
This
again.
is your brain.
Do-
This is your
do
brain
you
on
remember-
drugs.
I think it was Vivek Ramaswamy or somebody at the GOP presidential debate said there are like tunnels that they're hauling like semi trucks under that are just full of fentanyl.
That's just
to
not
bring
how
'em over.
anything works.
That's what, no, literally.
It's not how anything works, bro.
The fentanyl craze is
Literally, just so everybody out there is listening, most drugs are brought over through legal border crossings
Right.
in a regular ass car
by
Yes.
Americans.
by Americans. So like this whole concept is crazy. Listen, I'm not caping for the cartels. I think the cartels are terrible. They're awful.
awful.
Yeah.
They're murderous fiefdoms onto themselves. But the point is that we still have to investigate people before we blow up their boats.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
part of the judicial process,
Yes.
which we have completely blown up here.
Yeah.
Apparently.
ironic. Ironic. No,
you
and
see-
it's like the fentanyl commercials. Those are so just fundamentally silly and absurd, but people believe them.
Yes, they believe
Yeah.
That's
them.
almost even more absurd than the commercials themselves. And because people believe them, we get to the point where the Trump administration is emboldened and feels like they can go and just kill people in the Caribbean in international waters that we do not control because they are alleging that they are terrorists.
Yeah,
people
bingo.
are promoted to terrorists after they die so that we can justify anything that we do to them. And
Does
that's
this sound
fucked up.
familiar?
It does. It does sound.
Does this sound
very
familiar?
What does
familiar.
this sound like?
We've done this before, ladies and gentlemen. No, it for real. It's one of those concepts. It's one of those tactics used by authoritarian regimes in order to justify completely destructive things that they do to other groups, marginalized groups. And this is going to continue to happen. And there's always going to be this boogeyman that's going to be created. And unfortunately, right now, it just so happens to be anybody who is Latino.
Yeah.
You know, and it's going to keep happening until something else drastic happens in the legislature. But here we are, and half the country voted for this.
And
Right.
it's just like we got the Coast Guard for that. The Coast Guard's job is to hop on these boats and get people. You're supposed to
Right.
like seize the drugs, arrest the people. You can't
And that's
just
the thing.
kill people.
We don't even have the how many pictures, and Adrian, you remember this. You remember in the late 80s, early 90s, the Coast Guard or Miami-Dade sheriff,
Yeah.
county sheriff, they would catch somebody on a cigarette boat coming in from Cuba, and they would
From
take
Cuba.
a picture. It would be like 3 tons of cocaine,
And that's
they'll just be
cool.
sitting there with the rifles posed up like this, and they'd be like, "Look at all this drugs we seized. We're doing such a great job.
Miami's
keeping-"
built on fucking cocaine.
Yeah,
honey.
we're keeping the drugs off the street. Meanwhile, we literally let a boat with 5 tons go across just so we can, skim something off the top.
Yeah.
But the point is that we don't even have those photos. Like, name me a time where you've seen Border Patrol in recent memory posing with all the fentanyl they've seized at the border.
They don't.
probably
They
not
don't
doing
do
shit.
it because it's not about the fentanyl. It's about the people.
Well, they're too busy painting the border wall black to
Yes.
make it
Right.
too hot to climb
to make it
over.
too hot to climb. Which meanwhile, we'll just use blankets.
Oh my God.
Literally.
All right.
Anyway.
I feel like you have a lot of feelings about this.
I do.
And I
It's just-
think you should. And I think we all should. We absolutely should. I mean, we haven't even gotten through all of this fucking press conference yet.
No.
Literally, Trump is saying, and said at this press conference, that we're going in to Chicago.
We're going into Chicago.
That he is going to unleash the National Guard there from Texas. And they're going to be stationed over at like one of the federal bases. What is it? The Great Lakes.
Yeah. So as of right now, and this story came out just a few hours ago, or over the wee hours of the morning, is that J.B. Pritzker said the Texas National Guard has been deployed to the Great Lakes Naval Base outside of Chicago with orders. Awaiting orders to be deployed into Chicago. And it says the Trump administration officials will target, using that word specifically, target Mexican Independence Day celebrations on September 16th.
Of course they would. Everything this administration does is just racist and evil.
It is.
It's hard to put in words, and it's hard to do the analysis here because I find myself wondering, can he even do that? But it's just a silly question to be asking right now because it doesn't matter what he can and cannot do. He is just going to do things until
anyway.
something puts a stop to it, whether that be the courts, whether that be something else. And right now, the courts seem to just kind of be like, they're trying, but it's slow.
is laws, unless they're enforced, have no teeth. Yeah. So it doesn't matter how much the Supreme Court or the circuit courts or appeals courts say that it's illegal, unless the Supreme Court or a circuit court issues a arrest warrant for the president, it does not matter.
No, it's
nothing
not
he
matter.
does can be illegal under official capacity anymore.
Right. Yeah. And JD Vance said at the beginning of the term, like that the judiciary branch has no teeth. I mean, JB Pritzker has said that they will fight this in court, which is like, great, cool. You're going to fight it in court. Sounds good.
I mean, people are going to get snatched up.
Right.
Like, those people will be gone.
It's too late for them.
It's too late
for them. At least they've given them enough of a fucking head start to say, hey, like, this is the day that we're going to be doing all the things we're going to do. But a lower court ruled that the deployment in LA violated this like 19th century law that prohibits the military from being used.
Posse comitatus.
Yeah.
Yes,
Posse comitatus. You guys stole that from me. I really wanted to say that. But yeah, no, like you can't use the military as a fucking police force.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
that's not how that's supposed to work. DC, a little bit different, right? Home rule, all that shit.
Yeah.
But you don't get to just decide, hey, Texas, send your National Guard troops up to fucking Chicago into another state. And their crime rate is down 22%, which is huge for them. So they're trying to say this is about crime. It is not about crime. They're basically going after marginalized people.
It's about going after marginalized people, and it's about just punishing Democrats. It's about punishing liberal-run cities.
Yeah.
And it's about showing all the dudes who live in rural areas in the suburbs that are scared of the cities that they're doing something.
And to bring it home, because I was thinking about this, right? I was thinking about Detroit, right? Detroit is a very liberal city with liberal mayor, but we have a white mayor right now who also is running for governor, but we are a purple state. And so a part of me is like, will he do anything in Detroit? Because he knows he has to win Michigan. Like in these midterms, like they have no room for error, the GOP. They have no room for error in terms of keeping control of the House. They have no room for error for sending anybody to Washington. They can't redistrict in Michigan. And so that BS is not possible. And so I think it's an interesting calculus from them to say, okay, we're going to go into Baltimore, we're going to go into Chicago, LA, and New York and all these other places, but we may not touch Detroit. We may not touch Cleveland. We may not touch, Pittsburgh.
It's only the blue states.
It's all in the solidly blue states with solidly blue leadership. And it's like,
to own the libs.
It's like, y'all, this is a structured, controlled, I don't want to say elimination, but a way to demonize and to put under control the opposition leadership.
Yeah.
That is what this is. This is straight out of 1938. Like, this is what this is. This is flat
And
out.
it's like people are low-key falling for it too, and that's the scary part. I saw a TikTok like earlier. TikTok, the most reliable source or whatever. It was just somebody in DC going around, I love how safe it is right now, and the comments were filled with people talking about like, DC safe. I finally feel safe, and it's like, you feeling safe is obviously important.
But DC was safe. Here's the thing.
DC was safe prior. DC has been on like the upward trend since the spike during the pandemic.
But the mayor just said that they're welcome to stay here indefinitely.
She doesn't
Which
have a
is fucked
choice.
up.
Right.
She doesn't have a choice.
Right.
She has no power. DC, because DC is not a state, she has no power. She has no ability to fight what's going on. So at this point, it's either I am continually demonized every day, or I just say, whatever.
So one of the things I want to point out about the DC deployments is a friend of mine was just there with her husband. They were in DC. He's got some work. They took a little trip. She's like, yeah, National Guard's everywhere. And these kids look real young.
Oh, yeah.
Real young. These are really young people who all it takes to kind of set off something is an itchy trigger finger because somebody's feeling freaked out. And I think that's what's very worrisome. to me.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Well,
all
it's like
kinds of shit worrisome.
You have thousands of people down. You have thousands of National Guard troops in D.C. Increased presence of federal law enforcement. It just takes one of those people to do something like a Kent State. Not saying that that's going to happen, but you just need somebody to do something bad for things to pop off.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think that will be the powder keg, but I do think that I think the moment the order comes down for the National Guard or the Army to actually harm citizens,
yeah.
I think for
That's a
the
line.
Joint Chiefs, I think
Well,
that's the line.
That's
the
got to
point
be
of
a
no
line.
return.
I mean, I think that's the difference, right, between like this fascist takeover and the fascist takeovers from Stalin to Hitler to Mussolini. They used extreme violent force. They killed hundreds of thousands, millions of people, and what they did. Oh my God, this podcast is supposed to be so much more lighthearted. And here we go. Here we go.
But anyway, you know what? If that's the case, listen, the Epstein files.
Hey.
All of this is
Yeah, that's it. And you know, the last thing I'll say on that is they won't do it in Michigan because Mike Rogers needs all the help he can get.
That's
He does.
right.
Mike Rogers lost to Alyssa
He
Slotkin.
does.
Mike
Right.
Rogers, he's not.
It ain't looking good.
It's not
doggy.
looking good for him. Man.
Yes. Okay. Epstein files. Like, we need to move on. Like, Epstein files, we all need to keep up the pressure on making sure that the Department of Justice releases all of these unclassified Epstein files. And so the victims of Jeffrey Epstein's abuse, they actually had like a closed door meeting with some folks the other day. And Nancy Mace actually left in tears. They just did a press conference as well, just like kind of keep the pressure up about all of this. They said like, hey, Congress, you need to support this Epstein Files Transparency Act. You need to make sure that this gets all completely unclassified so that it can name all the people tied to the Epstein trafficking ring. It can give details on immunity deals and cover-ups, any flight logs from his like personal fucking island, DOJ's internal communications about all of this, and records on Epstein's death. Like, all of those things need to fucking come out.
Oh yeah, anything with that guy's name on it and Trump's name on it.
And Trump's name on it.
No, and the thing about it is you know, obviously I think there's two things happening at the same time, right? I think the DNC has misplayed how they're talking about the Epstein files because they keep saying all the other things that he's doing are just a distraction from the Epstein files. No, all the other things you're doing were in Project 2025,
right?
And he's just on schedule,
right? Half that shit's been implemented.
Yeah, half of it has already been implemented, but the Epstein files are sort of this other narrative that are happening that it's hard to pay attention to. But the thing is that this has bipartisan support. Everybody wants this to be open because no one likes abusers, and they shouldn't. And so this is, again, the easiest layup. And I'm sorry, if I was in the Democratic Party or if I was in anybody who was running for public office right now, I would scream at the top of my lungs every day at my opponent, you are sheltering and covering up for a child abuser.
Oh,
Yeah.
Especially when we have like the vote that's going on right now where they're trying to gather support for people to get these files released. Right now, it's Thomas Massey, it's Marjorie Taylor Greene, and it's Nancy Mace. Those are the only GOP representatives that are signing on.
Even if Trump is not incriminated in the files, right? Which, by the way, you wouldn't be going this hard if he wasn't.
Right.
But the point is that even if he's not, why are you caping so hard for these people?
Exactly. Why would you not vote for the release of these files?
Mike Johnson.
There should be no if there's only two or if there's only three GOP representatives in the House that are willing to sign on to this as of right now. There's the other 200 and something that are going to be up for re-election in 2026, and all of their opponents should be constantly just getting it into the media that they did not vote to release the Epstein files. They voted to protect Trump, and they voted to protect pedophiles.
I mean, this is common sense messaging, Gage. I don't know why the Dems can't do common sense messaging.
No, because
Democrats.
there's this feeling that like, oh, there's Democrats in the files too. Fuck it, I don't care.
Fine.
Yes.
I don't.
They
care
should be
if-
outed as well.
I don't care if Bill Clinton's in the
right,
files.
I don't give a fuck if
That's
Bill
why you
Clinton's
need
in
the
the files.
younger generation
Right.
of new Democrats to come in there because they're not going to be beholden to the same donors that were also on the island
Hard
and in the
facts.
files.
And
And they
listen.
can come out there and they can say that. They can come out there and they can say that Representative Chip Roy voted to go and not only protect Donald Trump, but also Bill Clinton and their implication with pedophilia and Prince Andrew too.
Yeah, get them all, bro. Like, listen, get them all, right? And at the end of the day, I want all of them held responsible.
Right.
So
Yes.
far, only one guy's been taken off this earth about it, and that was Epstein himself.
Right.
And no one else has been punished for any of it. We're talking about one of the most massive. We're talking about one of the most massive human trafficking rings in the history of modern history, and no one has been held responsible but one guy.
Even when Ghislaine Maxwell got her trial happened, she got 20 years. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. I'm not a big punitive justice kind of guy, but there are limits and exceptions. It's that was a pretty bad thing.
You run a multi-million-dollar human trafficking underage girl sex ring.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, bro, you need to go away.
20 years seems a little light.
Die.
There are dudes who are doing 20 years because they got caught with a gram.
Yeah. Well, when you're wealthy and powerful, you tend to get off a little.
And when you have blackmail on these people.
Yeah,
and now
for
Trump
real.
is talking about this vote and this situation. He's going, and the White House is pressuring the GOP, saying that Donald Trump will take it as a serious threat or something like that if they vote for this. Donald Trump is exerting literal pressure onto the members of the GOP to not vote for the release of the files.
He's saying that
he is putting his name on this list.
But here's what he doesn't understand is that if he was smart, right? He's doing this because he's in the files. Let's just be for real, right?
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Right?
Here's the thing. Is that if you are in a contested district, one of the best things you could do is to vote for releasing the files. Because now that is one of the biggest talking points that no longer hangs over your head. So if your objective is to save your seat, one of the number one things you could do is say release the files.
And you're really going to give every single House Democrat the opportunity to say they voted for the release of the Epstein files and you didn't? Haley Stevens gets to go and say she voted for the release of the Epstein files? Come on. Don't give her that.
Yeah, literally. Instead of her pushing publishing fake endorsements, right? Okay. So whatever, y'all. This is all so fucking much. I really appreciated a few days off for Labor Day because I needed the break. Every time we do the pod, I'm like, fuck. I gotta research all this shit and really dive deep into it. I gotta be so woke and I gotta be so aware, and it's so hard. But at least Labor Day here in Michigan is kind of a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Right, we got a lot of automotive workers here, a lot of union members here, and I know Norris, you were out at all the parades, all the activities, all the fun-tivities this weekend.
Yeah, man.
Tell us about it.
Labor Day was great, and I do want us to talk about something good because this was one of the better turnouts for the Labor Day parade in Detroit that I've seen in recent years, and everybody was super duper excited. Energy was super high because I think people kind of understand what's being done to organize labor in the country right now. We talked to a lot of people. You'll be seeing some stuff on Distill social media channels about it. But we talked to plenty of people, and everybody overwhelmingly is we need to strengthen the unions. Yeah. More people need to be in the unions. More people need to understand the power of collective bargaining. And the best part about it is no elected officials spoke.
None
this year,
really,
at the Labor Day parade. Not a one.
That's so great.
Okay.
Have you guys ever sat and listened to elected officials talk?
Yeah.
They talk a long time.
Yes,
they
and
do.
Listen,
it mostly sucks.
Yeah, and listen, let me say this. All right, I love everybody, and I get very energized hearing people be very passionate. And listen, the average politician is probably a better speaker than a guy who,
you'd think that.
builds.
I was going to say, that does depend.
I said depends. I said not always, but it depends. But, there was some rough speeches up there. But you know what? I give it love and respect because it was raw. It had heart. It had heart. Mm-hmm. It was raw. And it was just what people needed to get out, and they needed to energize folks. And it was very exciting. And the very same day on Labor Day that this is happening, 700 plus nurses go on strike.
Yes. In Grand Blanc. So the Henry Ford Genesis Hospital nurses, they're part of the Teamsters Local 332. They went on strike. They want to demand safe and improved working conditions, fair wages, more resources, fair patient ratio, which I don't think a lot of people in our state realize. That nurses if you are hospitalized in some hospital systems, the nurse to patient ratio is really dangerous. It could actually kill you because nurses are also kept on longer hours and shifts.
Yeah.
They say there's a nursing shortage, but it's actually nurses who've left the profession.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going out there and they're demanding, what's right and what they're owed.
As they should.
It's they're nurses.
Right.
They're nurses. These are people charged with taking care of you at your worst moment.
Yes.
I think they should be able to take care of a reasonable number of patients and be adequately compensated for it. It's one of the most like demanding jobs that we have.
You're talking about hospital CEOs making millions and millions and millions of dollars.
You're talking about insurance companies making millions and millions and millions of dollars,
Exactly.
making their lives harder. You're not authorized to go do that.
Right, exactly. So
it is.
Here for it.
It's ridiculous. And you talked about how it could cost people their lives. We got to understand, we haven't really addressed the nursing shortage that we had before COVID.
Yes.
Right? This is an ongoing theme that's been happening for the better part of a decade, where we talked about the new drug crisis that nurses are dealing with. We talk about COVID, which for by and large, nurses dealt with. Now we're talking about the big ugly murder bill, which is going to decimate the healthcare profession.
Yeah.
Yep.
And make the nurse to patient ratio even worse. Hospitals are going to close. People are going to lose their jobs, which invariably means more people end up in the hospital because they can't take care of themselves. They're going to lose their health care.
Well, more people end up in the hospital just by losing healthcare and not being able to engage in preventative care.
There you go.
And
so the whole thing is just going to be continually overburdened. At some point, something's got to give. At some point, the industry, the healthcare industry itself, literally has to say, we will let all y'all die unless we get this together.
Yeah, no, like
Right.
even in the current state of things right now, nurses are already overworked, underpaid. They work long hours, and they have to take care of too many patients for things to be safe for them and the patients that they're tasked with the health and responsibility of. And now, as a result of Trump's big, beautiful bill, nurses are going to have to deal with patients who are sicker in a system that's less funded.
Yeah.
And that's fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is also going to cause all sorts of health issues, both physical and mental health issues with nurses themselves.
Exactly.
It's another aspect of healthcare that we don't talk about, which is the mental strain that gets put on nurses.
You're seeing people at their worst, at
You're
their lowest, at
seeing
their most
people
ever.
die.
You're watching people die.
You're
Exactly.
watching people die every day. And I'm very passionate about this because I've had a number of family members in the healthcare industry,
Same.
particularly as nurses. And people really don't understand like what you have to endure as a nurse in just on just a regular day.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
I'm not talking about like something crazy as just a regular day.
Listen, thank a nurse, hug a nurse, tell
real.
a nurse how fucking great they are, bring them food. If you're in the hospital, my mom was in the hospital for an extended stay last year. We were giving nurses like meals. We were bringing them donuts, like
Heck yeah.
whatever you can do. Thank a nurse. They're taking care of you or a loved one at their worst possible moment. So we stand in solidarity with 750 nurses on strike in Grand Blanc. So
That's right.
Get everything you want.
Get all the things you
Get
want.
Everything you want and more.
Do all of
I don't
it.
understand how this wasn't a conversation after COVID. I don't understand, even though like the COVID recovery, whatever, maybe we're still feeling it right now, was obviously very like long and drawn out. There wasn't a clear like end to the pandemic.
No.
But there was kind of like at least a grayer end to when we were having conversations about essential workers and how nurses were running the world in these hospitals, standing in the face of danger
Risking
to deal
their
with this
lives.
pandemic. How was there not a more reasonable conversation then about maybe we should look at compensation, maybe we should look at hours, maybe we should look at how things are happening?
Because the moment we started coming out of the pandemic, we started politicizing the disease itself. We started.
Oh,
we
that was
started,
already happening.
It was
That
happening.
was already
it was,
happening,
It was
though.
happening.
Trump.
It was happening, but the disease got so politicized to the point to where we pushed all the healthcare related conversations about COVID to the side, and it became a political
Well,
conversation.
yeah, I think it went the same way as like the minimum wage conversation as well.
Exactly.
Because around this time is when we were having conversations about the original BBB bill, Build Back Better,
Yep.
that was going to have $15 minimum wage and like all this other stuff, and that just got pushed to the website. Thanks, Kristen Sinema, Maggie Hassan, Joe Manchin, all these other people that I despise with a passion. You know what I'm saying? But we did start to have these conversations, but they never got to go anywhere because one, I guess like Democrats couldn't really latch onto them because they didn't have the legislative numbers to do it, and they let that
no, we did, but
sway
because
their
of the
rhetoric.
people you named,
Right.
like we didn't. The
Right,
numbers
exactly.
were there.
They didn't have the legislative numbers to do it because Joe Manchin, Kirsten Sinema, Maggie Hassan, and all these other people decided, I'm not going to let you have the numbers. To get it. They didn't have the physical numbers to get it passed. They could have done it with D's and Bernie Sanders, the independent.
Absolutely.
But they couldn't do it And then the critical problem with Democrats that I think we're seeing right now is they couldn't get something done then, so they stopped talking about it.
So they stopped doing
And
it.
it just left the zeitgeist.
Yeah, but I mean, we're still obviously dealing with the repercussions now, and it's probably going to continue this way because we have RFK Jr. as the Health and Human Services
Bro, I don't even
Secretary.
wanna-
The CDC right now.
oh my God.
goodness.
We
Oh,
can't
man.
even get into that.
We
We don't
can't
even have
even get
time
into
for
that.
that today.
Yeah.
So, so much of this too, we've kind of touched a little bit today on like the youth.
The youth.
And the youth vote.
That's
The
right.
age is here is our
Shouts
monolith of the youth, right?
Yes.
So recently, y'all went to the Palestinian conference in Detroit.
Yes,
Right?
the People's Conference for Palestine
Okay.
in Detroit was the same weekend as Labor Day weekend, and I was able to go for a couple days.
You were busy
and
this last
I was
weekend.
very busy. I was very
It's
busy.
like, what's Norris doing? He's
I was
everywhere.
This is what I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to talk about it on the show today because I wanted to reiterate just how large the schism is.
Yeah.
Particularly on Gaza with youth vote and pretty much everybody else. Because at this conference, which it was put together by a number of youth Palestinian groups and lobbyist groups that function both in DC and then around the country on this issue. But the thing about it is that the average age of the person at this conference was maybe 25.
Damn.
That's great.
Maybe.
So much younger than the people at the Nine Inch Nails show a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
Oh, that makes
definitely.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense a little bit.
And I mean, listen, in this bared out in the type of speakers they had, the type of programming they had, they had musical performances. Rashida Tlaib spoke at the conference. Hassan Piker spoke
Yes.
at the conference. If you don't know who Hassan Piker is,
Shouts out.
he is the largest political content streamer on Twitch in the world, and it just clearly spoke to a younger audience. I mean, everybody there was draped in keffiyehs,
Yep.
and
It looked
there
drippy as
was
hell.
there was literature being handed out, and you could buy books and you could buy art and all sorts of stuff. And it just made me think. And Gage, I want to ask you this question,
Real.
as a young voter,
The
Okay.
youth.
the
The youth. I represent
Right.
us all.
has the DNC, has the establishment Democrat just lost this cohort around this issue?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, just kind of straight up, nobody is happy with the Democrats. And I mean, it's not like just the youth, too. The youth, I think what explains their turnout at the conference being mostly 23-year-olds is I feel like young voters, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, have been leading the activism around the issue. So much
Absolutely.
of this has been focused on college campuses and what are going on. So many of the people that I see talking about the genocide in a real way have been people like me and my co-host on our show and other people that are like us, kind of in the same age demographic, that 18 to 29 thing. Obviously, there are, I don't want to say outliers, there are other people doing it, but the charge has been led by younger people not because I think what's happening in Palestine is an online issue, but because we're so separate from it that's how you're learning about the issue, and younger people are just more online. But the DNC has been so obtuse in the way that they choose to talk about it, and they haven't let anybody say anything meaningful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was interesting because they actually had a meeting. They're one of their large caucuses in Minneapolis over, I think it was 2 weeks ago now. Where two big votes were supposed to be happening. They were supposed
They
to
could not advance these resolutions.
Yeah, they were supposed to have these resolutions that centered around Gaza and Palestine, the recognition of Palestine as a state, the
calling it a genocide.
calling it a genocide, the party platform being used to say we're not going to send any more arms to the Israeli military. Like
They couldn't do any of
they
that.
couldn't decide on any of it.
No,
Not
they
even the most basic thing of
Right.
hey guys, please stop.
They
Like
said,
that-
let's do a task force about it. It should be a dirty, evil statement right there.
Yeah.
I never
I
want to
need a
hear a
committee.
Democrat
I
ever say
need a
we need a
committee.
committee
I
or a
need a
task force on
committee.
anything ever again,
need a
dude.
committee.
And the first resolution was so benign. The first resolution was just stop fighting.
Stop
Right.
fighting.
was just we need a ceasefire and
Please
a
stop.
release of the
Right.
hostages,
Right.
and that was it. Which I think it's funny because that's the resolution that comes that encapsulates things that they have no control over.
Yeah.
It's so easy to say stop fighting when
Right.
it's
When you're
just
not fighting.
Right.
two other when you're
Yeah.
not fighting, when you're just funding the
Yeah.
fighting. It's
Yeah.
a lot harder to do to pass a resolution where members would have to actually put their votes behind that in the legislature, like the other one that said recognition of a Palestinian state and arms embargo and all this other stuff, and they said, yeah, well,
I don't know. Like the whole thing about the Michigan Dems missing the mark and the DNC missing the mark, I think is very interesting when we talk with younger folks and younger voters. This whole notion of like the Dems, the Michigan Dems want to do like a town hall series here in Michigan. They want to bring out speakers like Clyburn and
Ooh.
Clyburn.
Hakeem Jeffries, right? And they want
Hakeem Jeffries,
they want to bring
man.
these folks out, to various events in the fall, but it's kind of a similar thing. These are people who are refusing to call what's happening in Palestine a genocide. They are refusing to endorse Mamdani. Clyburn is supporting Cuomo and is being
crazy to be supporting
Cuomo like outright. So they want us to vote blue no matter who. That's their whole thing. So it's a complete lack of awareness, being completely out of touch with
Listen, here's all I gotta say.
Okay.
In my training as a journalist, you will never openly hear me endorse any candidate over another.
the
You will
only
never-
journalist
you
on
will
this
never hear
panel
me do
right
that.
Yeah,
now.
it couldn't be me.
You will
big
never
on
hear me
Abdul.
do that. Here is what I will say though, is that if the Democratic Party wants to continue being an actual party that has actual power with actual candidates that can actually win things, they have to get rid of this notion that this is it.
Yeah.
Right? Clyburn, I have immense respect for Jim Clyburn. He got to get out the way.
Bye.
I have immense respect for Hakeem Jeffries. He too must get out the way. Like, there are people in the party that have proven that either their ideas are old and stale or their bodies are old and stale.
Yep.
And they have to be willing to be able to let this new generation of Democrats, Democratic Socialists,
the
whatever you want to call it,
baton.
you got to pass the baton.
You gotta go.
The whole point of getting old is to stop working.
Yes.
Yes.
That's
yes.
the whole
Yeah.
point.
Yes. Okay.
Chill.
Listen. All right. We have the average age of U.S. House membership here right in front of us right now. So like Gina compiled this before she was out this week. And it is really fucking eye-opening. You would think, just based on what's happening in the country right now, that the GOP House members would be older than the Democrats. But you would actually be wrong.
That's so crazy.
So that means the GOP is probably recruiting more. They're
They
probably
are.
energizing younger people more than the Democrats are. Like, this is fucking numbers. Like, this is actual metrics. GOP average age is 56. Dems average age is 58. Now, that's only a 2-year difference, but I think it fucking matters when you start to look at the age breakdown.
I mean, it's a midterm.
It's a midterm.
That's a midterm.
It's a
Yeah.
midterm. Like age, okay, like ages 75 plus. First of all, why are you working at age 75? Go enjoy your
spend time
retirement.
with your family.
Spend time with maybe they don't like their family.
That's not my
Maybe their
problem.
family doesn't
That's
like
not my
them.
problem. Yeah, I
That's
mean,
not my problem.
Whatever. Just enough, right? So age 75 plus. GOP has 11 members of Congress or 11 members of the House who are over 75. The Democrats have 31.
31?
Unacceptable.
31 people who are over 75.
Unacceptable. And I'm not saying that to say that you can't be 75 and have all your capacities and
Right.
have ideas.
We're not
and
trying to be ageist
I'm not
here.
trying to be ageist. This is not my point. What I'm saying is that you are not allowing new ideas to matriculate through
Right.
a party.
And
You're
that's
not.
why we're where we are.
Yes.
Like, that's why we're at the point where everybody on the ground is disconnected with the party. That's why Democratic approval is at a 30-year low right now, because they can't come up with new ideas. They continually try the same old shit that loses them elections.
Listen,
as
let
you
me
climb.
explain this to you.
Lift as you climb.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's like, okay, Project 2025 is a new idea.
Yeah.
Right? The concepts themselves are not new.
No.
But the implementation and the fact that they put it in this palatable little packet
Yeah.
is a new idea. Why? Because that comes from the Heritage Foundation. That comes from Stephen Miller. These people are under 50.
Yes.
Yeah.
These are young
Stephen
people.
Miller's like
They
in
got
his
skin in the game.
30s.
Stephen Miller's
No
39.
way.
He's
39?
39.
Yes, but hatred makes you a ghoul.
You're right.
So
He
the
looks
thing
older
about
than
it
he is.
The thing about it is, these are new ideas coming from new people. And now they're able to take government, control it, and turn it into something new because they were able to come in with a new idea.
If you don't
period.
innovate, you stagnate. I mean, at the end of the day, and this is
Type.
essential. This is what it is. Is like if you're not bringing in the new ideas and you're not innovating as a party, then people are fucking done with you, and the 20-somethings are done. They're done with you,
and it's causing people to be so frustrated that people on the left aren't even having sex no more.
I know. Okay, so like
People on the left are drinking too much.
They're
They're not having
They're
sex.
drinking way
You
more
would
and having
think-
less sex.
You would think drinking more would lead to more sex, but actually, this is pretty interesting.
No, they're just
Like,
getting sad.
They're getting super sad. So this is like a record low. So the number of Americans having sex has dropped to a record low, signaling what people are calling a potential sex recession.
Oh
They're
my
calling
God.
it a sex recession. So
Could be me.
this is I don't have this problem, but this is from mostly like people that were surveyed that less than half of folks, 37% were having sex weekly compared to 55% in 1990. So the documented
Damn.
dip is mostly in young people. So
Yep.
folks under a certain age.
Gage, what's going on with you
Gage.
and your
Hey, bro,
bros, man?
it's what too much internet does to a motherfucker, man.
This is true. Like they're saying there's a number of reasons for this, like the internet, like being on our devices all the time. You know, there's less people getting married now. Like women have kind of fucking had it with heterosexual relationships.
That's real.
That's
It's probably
fair.
too much
Like,
porn too.
too
like,
much
like
porn.
Genuinely, it's
Yeah,
probably
porn
many
sick.
young men
Yes.
just being addicted to porn.
Exactly. So there's a lot of this going on. I love that it was like the Kinsey Institute that did
Absolutely.
this. I have mentioned Kinsey Institute to folks and Kinsey scale, men who have gone on dates with, and they look at me like just completely blank stare. I'm like, you don't know what the Kinsey scale is?
I thought that was just something I thought all adults should just know what that is.
You should
Gang.
just know.
But-
Gang, what's
Indiana
that?
University,
Yeah.
shout out to the Hoosiers and their crazy sex lives.
Yeah,
Gang, what's that?
The Kinsey scale?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, no!
No.
That's it.
So
Hold on.
no.
I'm an audience surrogate. What is
No,
that?
Okay. So you know who Kinsey was?
Kinsey.
Dr. Kinsey.
Dr. Kinsey.
And like the Kinsey Institute was
You
founded
gotta start
like,
from the top.
Yeah.
way
hold
back,
on.
and like I'm gonna fuck this up. So you can go ahead and slide in my DMs and correct me all you want. But like 1930s, 1940s, there was nobody who was studying sex or
Okay.
like sexuality.
Sexuality.
And essentially, the Kinsey Institute, led by Dr. Kinsey and this group of researchers, polled people. They watched them have sex
intercourse.
acts,
Oh,
like all of this.
word.
And this goes on at Indiana University, and it is still there today. And the Kinsey scale is basically how straight to how gay you happen to be.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
everybody is on the scale. Like nobody is truly straight and no one is truly gay.
Yeah. Like it's a spectrum.
It's a
So
spectrum.
It's where you fall along.
That's the Kinsey
spectrum.
scale.
How
I
did-
feel
how did
so
they figure
good
that out?
about like telling you
Yeah.
this and like
That's so
and
wild.
like parting this wisdom on you today.
Yeah, it's actually one of the things that like I bring up when people are being really like weird and homophobic.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I just usually go, I was like, hey, have you ever complimented a dude on his beard?
Oh,
Yeah.
so you're probably a little gay.
I was like, you gotta
gotta
take that
move
and
over.
move it a little bit that
bit
way.
gay.
Slide it this
You gotta
way.
slide it a little bit
Can
that
you
way.
recognize the attractiveness of the same gender?
Yeah,
you know, that kind
yeah,
of shit.
exactly. So-
Either way, I love that this survey was conducted by the Kinsey Institute. You know, are there implications you think societally for us if we're having way less sex?
Yes.
Yes.
If 1/3
I
of the
think-
population is not connecting with the other, you know,
I
having
think
sex.
here's the massive problem beyond just, you know, the population replacement and all that, which, you know, I make the argument that there's actually too many people on Earth. But the point is that I actually think we lack not just sex, we lack intimacy.
Well, I was gonna
Yes.
say, isn't sex kind of just like a stand-in for like connection
for a lot
and
of people.
something
Yeah,
like
For a
that?
for
lot of
some
people.
people, but then if you're
Well,
out,
in a study like this, I
Right.
mean, like sex can be a reasonable surrogate to talk about like loneliness. And there was a survey that came out like last year talking about how young men are like lonelier than ever.
Oh,
young men
God.
are fucking less than ever. Young men are like lonelier than ever. Maybe you should work on something.
well,
you
and
know?
maybe that sounds like a young men problem.
yeah,
No,
no,
but-
legitimately porn addiction.
No, it is. And it's because we have made it we've kind of made it weird for, I think, young men to talk to other young men specifically about sex and intimacy.
Yes.
We've made people run to porn because there was a moment in time
is too accessible.
It's too
so
accessible
easy
and
to
completely
just
not
whip up,
how
yeah,
real
like-
sex works.
Yeah.
But there was a point in time in like the mid 2000s, early 2010s where it was like the world was overwhelmingly sex positive. People were very open with talking about
Sex
like
positive in the 2010s?
birth control, safe sex, really like the LGBTQ
That was kind of the turn.
movement.
I would say that was the turn.
That was the turn. It was like the
okay, yeah.
LGBTQ movement was like at its peak.
Well, marriage equality in
Obergefell
2015.
had just
Yeah.
passed.
Yeah.
Like, it was a time where it was just like, yeah, man, everybody getting it in, so I might as well be a part of it too.
Word, okay.
And then I think COVID hit, and I think there was obviously a natural lack of sex and a natural lack of intimacy. And I just think a lot of Gen Z just haven't bounced back from that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, a lot of these people surveyed were saying that they've never had sex
Yeah,
in their
it's
lives.
tough.
So that, I think that is like, like you said, the lack of intimacy, the lack of community that people are feeling to be able to have that connection with someone.
I mean,
Yeah.
think about it.
That's
If you
kinda
were
sad.
if you were 14 when COVID started, right?
your brain's broken.
Your brain is broken.
Yeah.
Right? Like that is around 14, 15 years old is around the time, at least when I was growing up, around the time where, hey, you start fooling, you start sneaking into a girl's house.
I don't know
baby.
where you're at, 14, 15.
No, I'm saying
Goddamn.
maybe earlier for some, but I'm just saying by 14, 15, most people have already had a sexual experience
Well,
of some sort.
there was, I think their average was like 17. Is
Word?
like average was 17.
I think that makes sense.
Maybe when I was
17?
coming up, but that I would be interested to see in this survey, like when did people have a first sexual experience,
Yeah.
right? Like when did their V card? Like virginity is like a construct, but like you know what I mean? Like
But that's why I'm specifically not saying like full blown like intercourse. I'm saying like just a
Something.
sexual experience.
this podcast has gotten weird today. I gotta like it. You guys visiting has been amazing.
No, but
Maybe
this is-
you're the reason we're not sex positive
Maybe,
anymore.
maybe.
This is the rise of cultural
Maybe.
conservatism, right?
This is what it is.
I don't know.
I think that does genuinely tie into it, though.
It
We
does.
are seeing right now a rise in cultural conservatism. People were citing that as like the flip towards Trump in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of see it online with like, I feel like slut shaming is on the rise. There are things
It
like
is.
that.
It is.
And
it
it's
is.
like
it's a
it
rejection
all-
of that era
Yeah.
that I was talking
It
about.
all plays a part. Like
Yeah.
it all plays a part in why people aren't banging anymore.
Yeah, but listen, the whole reason why we got here is because these stupid quiverful white replacement theory people just like can't just chill out.
Well, it's crazy because so many of them just use politics as like a outlet for their kink.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm serious, dude. Did you see that like one conference? Like CNN pulled up to this like conference of like not like trad wives.
Oh, the
but-
pronatalist.
Oh, the pronatalist, yeah.
And all these people are like, yeah, you just need to have 8 kids. Brother, you just like cream pies and you've made it your politics. That's what it is. Is it not?
Oh my god, we need to cut that into some social videos.
It's so-
Shit.
Listen.
Get banned on
you-
Instagram.
But you got it though. You got it though.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
Well,
It's the
JD
truth.
Vance is taking all this data back and he's saying he wants more babies. He wants all of us to be having more babies. But if people are like, I'm not having sex and I'm
you're
not,
not gonna have the
and all the
Do you
men
know
are
how
lonely.
do you know how you make it easy for people to have sex? Give them jobs.
Give them
Give
jobs.
them economic
Stability.
freedom. Give them stability.
Maybe
let
allow-
the women have a control of their own bodies.
Yes, maybe
Let-
have men who are like can be in the culture and be supportive and actually
Let people have paid family
Yeah.
leave
Yes.
so they can take care of their child. Like
Oh, nothing turns me on
maybe-
like paid family leave.
maybe
real.
incentivize having children,
Wow.
and people would have them.
People
Norris
would
has
want
very
to.
strong feelings today on our pod. I love it. I love seeing the
It's
passion.
because I hate stupidity.
Real.
I hate stupidity with a passion.
Hey,
Willful
stupidity.
stupidity.
Hey,
I
the
hate it.
GOP hate a lot of Democrats.
Well, listen, if you're out there and you want to do your part for the sex recession, get out there, get busy, get laid,
Get busy.
enjoy, wear protection.
Wear protection.
Be safe, get tested, all of those things. Anyway, gentlemen, this has
Yes.
been a really wild ride with you all
It's
today.
been real.
Wonderful
It
experience.
has been welcome. We're so glad that you've been here filling in for the ladies. They will
Yes.
be back with me next week. But that's another episode here at Point of Disorder. So follow us, like us, share us, comment, all the places.
All the things.
All the things.
Thanks,
See you
guys.
next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday,
Woo!
Thursday.
Thursday. See you next
Thursday. See you next
Thursday.
Thursday.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of Point of Disorder. We'd like to extend a huge thank you to everyone who listened today. And if you like us, give us a like, a subscribe, or a review on any place you get your podcasts. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Distill Social and at The Guerrilla Politic. This is the Point of Disorder podcast, signing off. Stay sharp, stay progressive, and above all, stay tuned.